Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Integument Modern Water Acquisition General Meeting. Throughout this presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and could be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. These will be available on your Investor Meet Company dashboard. I'd like to remind you that the presentation is being recorded, and before we begin, we'd like to submit the following poll. I would now like to hand you over to Ross Andrews, Chairman, Gerard Brandon, CEO, Camillus Glover, CFO, and Finn Murray, COO of Integument. Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. So I will start the formal procedures today. So thank you for joining the general meeting of Integument PLC. So we find ourselves in a rather strange COVID world where we're having to do these meetings remotely, but there will be a short presentation a little bit later. As explained in the circular on the 28th of August to shareholders, only those that completed a proxy form will be able to vote on the resolutions. So first of all, thank you for all those that have completed and returned valid forms of proxy. We have various proposals to consider this morning, principally the proposed share consolidation, whereby it's proposed that each of the existing ordinary shares are consolidated on a 10-for-1 basis. And after that, there will be exercise of warrants, etc. So the enlarged share capital will be as per the screen. We'll be also considering the proposed acquisition of Modern Water, which has already been announced, plus the waiver of certain preemption rights and increase in share authorities and name or proposed name of the company. There we go. So I will now run through each of the resolutions. I will ask Jerry to second each resolution, and then I will read out the proxy votes in favour and against, and then declare whether each resolution has been carried or not. So there are 7 resolutions, so if you could just bear with me while we go through this formal process. So the first resolution, resolution number 1, this is an ordinary resolution seeking authority to approve the share consolidation. Jerry, if I could ask you to second the resolution.
I second it.
Thank you very much. Those proxy votes in favour were 245,800,786, and against were 5,274,983. So I declare that resolution carried. The second resolution, this is also an ordinary resolution to allot up to 63.1 million new ordinary shares with the acquisition of Modern Water. Jerry, can I ask you to second the resolution?
I second the resolution.
Thank you very much. Those votes in favour, 250,417,344. Those votes against, 658,425. That resolution has also been carried. Resolution 3. This is an ordinary resolution to allot up to 6.9 million new ordinary shares in conversion rights and warrants in connection with the previously announced debt facility agreement with Rockfort Global Opportunities. Jerry, if I could yet again ask you to second the resolution.
I second the resolution.
Thank you. Those votes in favour, 250,417,344. Those votes against, 658,425. So carried. The fourth resolution is an ordinary resolution to give general authority to the company to allot up to 36.7 million new ordinary shares. This is in addition to the allotments in resolution 2 and 3. Jerry, can I ask you to second?
I second that.
Thank you. Those votes in favour, 250,417,344. Those votes against, 658,425. That resolution is also carried. Resolution 5 is a special resolution to disapply preemption rights in respect of the new ordinary shares to be issued to Riverfort, which we've just approved under Resolution 3. Jerry, could I ask you to second the resolution?
I second the resolution.
Thank you very much. Those votes in favour, 250,229,944. Those votes against, 673,425. Resolution carried. Resolution 6 is also a special resolution to provide the company with authority to issue 26.2 million new ordinary shares for cash pursuant to Resolution 4. Jerry, if I could ask you to approve or second the resolution.
I second the resolution.
Thank you very much. Those votes in favour were 250,144,944. Votes against, 758,425. Resolution carried. And the final resolution is a special resolution to change the name of the company to DeepVerge PLC. Jerry, can I ask you to second the resolution?
I second the resolution.
Thank you very much. So those in favour were 250,313,643, and those votes against, 762,126. So that resolution was also carried. So I'm pleased to say that all the resolutions were carried this morning, and I think that probably brings to conclusion the formal part of the meeting. And Jerry, I know you want to say a few words, so I will pass over to you if that's okay.
Thank you very much, Ross. Just before we move on, I want to actually show a 1-minute video about Modern Water to give you all an idea of the expertise and experience within the company and how it's actually going to help move us forward as a major footprint, an existing major global footprint for the installation of our artificial intelligence upgraded facility for detecting. So if I could have that switched on, it would be appreciated.
With headquarters in the United Kingdom and operations in the US, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Japan, and China, Modern Water is at the leading edge of new and developing water technologies. Our world-leading membrane technologies are used for desalination and industrial water treatment applications in water-stressed areas throughout the world. Modern Water has also developed some of the world's most advanced portable laboratory and online systems for monitoring toxicity, trace metals, and environmental contaminants in water, soil, food, and industrial process streams, immediately identifying excess levels or suspicious changes. Modern Water owns a portfolio of water technologies to address the limited availability of fresh water and the treatment and disposal of wastewater worldwide. By 2025, it is forecast that 2/3 of the world's population will live in countries classified as water-stressed. Modern Water is committed to protecting the sustainability of the world's most precious commodity.
So really, what I want to say is that this isn't an acquisition; it's a merger of technologies that enhance both companies. And I suppose now that we've gone through the formalities of the general meeting, some future formality elements, will be the actual offer document, which will be issued shortly. And we expect to close the merger somewhere around about the end of October, hopefully at the end of October. Next, what I want to do is to introduce you to the new name and the logo and give you an idea as to where it came from and where we're heading. So the Integument name and brand served us, I suppose, since the IPO. And when it was, I suppose, a different kind of business, it did in fact help distinguish us as a new innovative player in the world of skin, health, and beauty. But we've come a long way in the last couple of years, and we wanted our brand to reflect a new sense of progression, innovation, and discovery. So together with the name change, we wanted to develop a rich and flexible brand identity that could be applied to the Integument parent company and its subsidiaries. We wanted the brand to reflect an expanded focus beyond skin, to communicate our forward-looking, innovative company, and to position us as a science technology focused company. So the name Integument itself was derived from the integumentary system, which is an organ system consisting of the skin, hair, nails, and exocrine glands. And that wasn't all that we were about, but in effect, it actually satisfied the subsidiary element of lab skin. And there was beauty elements to that, there was oral care elements of that, but we disposed of those consumer-faced products and focused very much on the science and the technology. And as the company expanded into new areas of science and data technology and environment, as I said, we had outgrown this particular name. So we needed a name and a flexible brand system that could better communicate the sense of discovery and innovation. It needed to reflect core pillars of life science, data technology, environment, and health. And it needed to have an agreed feel and match to the narrative and the strategy that we were actually aiming for. It had to be legally viable and also available URLs. So, it had to have that element of x.com. So from a list of just under 50, I mean, there's an awful lot of effort gone into actually bringing the name to the fore. We shortlisted it to 3, and after some further checks, we agreed the name as DEEPVERGE, and reflecting deep science and pushing to the verge of breakthroughs for what it is that we're actually doing and what we're about to do. So there are many associations with the word deep that we liked. For instance, artificial intelligence and technology are brand words that we wanted to connect with. For instance, Deep Blue, that was a chess-playing computer developed by IBM. It's best known for being the first computer chess system to win both the chess game and the chess match with the reigning world champion multiple times. And its successor is Deep Thought. But deep learning is part of the broader family of machine learning methods based on artificial neural networks. And again, we had moved past the beauty element of this and using artificial intelligence to enhance our lab skin technologies that we had moved from selling kits to selling services and enhancing our clients' value for them and also value for the revenue, increased revenue that we had per client. So a deep neural network being in the artificial neural network with multiple layers, DeepMind Technologies, and hang on a second, I'm just moving a little bit fast. So DeepMind Technologies is a UK artificial company founded in September in 2010 and was acquired by Google in 2014 for a little over $500 million. And when you take into consideration, deep sea, deep space, skin deep, deep web, we have the first part of our brand name. So as you can see, we're very much attracted to the brand feel of the word deep, and we played with various couplings of different words that might work in creating a unique company name. And the word verge, meaning the edge, and we wanted to invoke this edge of science, this boundary or border upon which we're actually pushing all the time. And it had a natural quality. Obviously, it's another word, a real word, as opposed to a make-up word, and that we wanted to communicate within the brand itself. So our scientists have been working on the verge of a major breakthrough. We've been promoting this over the last few months, and they are literally pioneers that have gone further than ever before. And I will update you all on the results of their work at the AGM on Thursday, the 24th of this month. For us, the word verge invokes a sense of innovation and discovery. So together with the word deep, it hits the mark in terms of connecting the core pillars of our science, data technology, environmental, and health. So elements of the DeepVerge brand identity are inherited across a number of the subsidiaries, and we have, again, the entire brand assets that have actually been put in place to accommodate this. Each subsidiary, and soon to be daughter company, would have their own brand enhanced to be within the actual parent brand of DeepVerge itself. Our new name, together with the new visual expression of the brand, it's a signal that we're entering a new era. I mean, our visual identity gives us a sense of confidence, simplicity, and signifies a drive for the future, and the exploration of new frontiers to deliver applied global solutions to major societal problems, such as the detection of COVID in wastewater and other solutions to be revealed at the AGM. So in the next 2 weeks, we have the publication of the offer document, which will also include the interims from both DeepVerge and Modern Water. And on the 24th of September, at the DeepVerge annual general meeting, we will reveal the outcome of the work done across the subsidiaries of both DeepVerge and Modern Water Group, our Eco Water OS consortium, our partners, and the collaborating teams from both the Avacta and Aptima Group. And literally, I just want to thank everyone for taking part in today's general meeting, and look forward to introducing you all to the next chapter in DeepVerge in 9 days' time. So thank you very much, everybody.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ross, Gerard, Camillus, and Finn. Ladies and gentlemen, do please continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the company take a few moments to review those questions submitted by investors today, I'd like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard on Investor Meet Company. Lastly, before I hand back to the team, I'd like to remind you that your feedback is important to the company. Immediately after the presentation has ended, you will be redirected for the opportunity to provide feedback. Ross, Gerard, Camillus, Finn, before we look at some of the questions submitted today during the presentation, we have had a couple of pre-submitted questions. Jerry, perhaps I can address those to you, if that's okay.
Sure.
The first one we had in, what do you see as the key inflection points that's impacted on shareholder value over the coming years?
Good question. Well, I think I'm supposed to answer that. It's very important for us to actually look back a little bit and see what has been undertaken by both Integument or DeepVerge as it is now, and Modern Water, where both businesses underwent transformational business model changes, where there was a greater emphasis on generating recovering revenues. And I suppose the collaboration of the two entities created an opportunity to actually fully exploit new technologies from the former, as in the Modern Water that had been around for 30 years, with this wonderful global gold standard brand and global footprint, with the enhanced value of the artificial intelligence element of water detection and water contamination identification that has been brought in by Rhinocloud, a subsidiary of Integument. And so the focus for us wasn't so much on just evolving to, I suppose, new technologies, but fully commercializing on the basis of it had to be, in both companies, recurring revenue, enhanced recovering revenue, and enhanced value for the client. So us rolling these out in a COVID world makes this so much more valuable for the enlarged group.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. The second question we've got here, will this acquisition close any revenue streams from potential customers who are in competition with Modern Water? What is the size of those revenue streams?
Again, I suppose this goes back to large projects that were sought to be undertaken by the Modern Water Group. And these large projects took time, long lead time, 18 months, sometimes 2 years, in the case of the likes of the desalination plant in Gibraltar, for example. And what the problem that you have with a small company is that in order for you to actually satisfy the requirements to be fulfilled for those large projects, you have to carry a large amount of staff, support staff, technical, scientific, and equally just normal sales support. That costs money, and that cost an awful lot more than what would have been liked by the Modern Water Group, and caused some problems in 2019. So while we wouldn't be saying that the enlarged entity would be closing off any revenue group, we would certainly not be forcing ourselves down the large ticket items and look for ourselves more to sell some of the smaller ticket items, which would be in the 40,000-50,000 pound level, and monthly recurring revenues of consumables, as well as actually services of our AI into existing and newly installed base of the technology. So cutting out projects that are 18 months to 2 years long, big ticket items which cannot be afforded to be carried, and focusing more on increasing the revenues. So I wouldn't say we're cutting anything out, I'd just say we're cutting back on the big stuff, but focusing big on the small stuff.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. I know I haven't perhaps given you long to have a little review of some of the questions that have come in, but I did want to hand back to see if there are any that you would be able to respond to. If I could ask you to read out the question and say who it's from, that would be really helpful. But if you'd just like to take a few minutes to look at it, if there's anything you could respond to.
I'm trying to see them. I got lost on the screen, I'm afraid.
If you just literally look at the Q&A tab, just click on that, and you'll be able to see on the right of the slide deck there, Jerry. Sorry,
Paul, I'm not getting the chat at all.
Okay, no problem. If you see a little blue bubble in the right-hand corner, if you can click on that, that will bring that up.
I don't.
Just next to the slide deck, there should be a white panel there. If you minimize the slide,
definitely missing. I was in full, and
if you click on the full and minimize it, that should take it down, and then you should see a little blue bubble which will expand, and you'll be able to see the Q&A.
No, unless one of the other team members can see it on their screen, I can't see anything on my screen. Unfortunately.
1 second.
Camillus, can you see?
Just so.
Yeah. So the first question, Jerry, is what product service category will DeepVerge be allocated on AIM?
We applied about 6 weeks ago for a biotech, a subsidiary of pharma biotechnology. So it will actually be moved from personal consumer products, which it currently have been as Integument, into the pharma biotech. There's no artificial intelligence side yet, so we're very much in the science, life science, environmental science, in which case it would be the pharma biotechnology segment.
And then will we be a dividend-paying company, or at what stage?
I had always, since we took over responsibility of running management at Integument, I had said that the group over the next few years would more likely grow by acquisition, and therefore until we had actually reached profitability. If this was a dividend share for somebody, it would have to be at the end of a number of years, as in 3 years. We're 2 years into that. So I'd certainly look forward to the actual level of where we could be a dividend company, but I certainly wouldn't see it over the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. And the next two questions aren't really appropriate for here. They're to do with possibilities of COVID testing and future business.
I'll cover COVID testing on the 24th.
Yeah. Okay, and are there any analyst research numbers in the market for 2020 and 21 pre-modern water? So there is a Turner
Yes,
Pope.
there are. There's a January broker note on Turner Pope. If you go to the Integument investor page, you'll see a tab further down with the broker notes, and you'll find that there is one analyst with numbers, etc. Bear in mind, though, this is pre-modern water and also pre the COVID. So I think at some point towards the end of the year, we would look at asking our analysts to review where we're going with what is coming out.
And then the practical question of when do Modern Water shareholders get new shares at the end of the process?
I believe that tomorrow morning, those on Crest will actually have their shares consolidated at 10-1. Those with share certificates, there will be a number of days when that would actually be brought out. I suppose generally about 10 days or so, I'd say, before you get the share certificate. But certainly the Crest should be fairly immediately transferred, I think, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
For Modern Water shareholders, assuming the offer document goes out and they accept the offer, it's the end of October before all of that happens.
Yeah.
I was talking about the consolidation, sorry, of the shares taken, DEEPVERGE. So with Modern Water, that process has an offer document period to go through. So we would expect by the 25th of this month, hopefully before then, but by the 25th, we'll put out the offer document. And thereafter, there is a number of weeks for the take-up of that particular offer. And we will report as that process. But we will expect to complete, hopefully, on the basis of no issues related to the technicalities by the end of October.
Yeah. And further question, to answer in relation to existing business relationships. So the partnership doesn't affect the parity deal or any other deals that Integument have in place at present.
We're building up a consortia, and we already have a large consortia of partners. Each of those plays a role or will play a role in the enlarged group. That was the whole purpose of actually putting these partnerships, collaboration agreements, consortia, cooperative agreements, specifically EcoWater OS being a classic example of a group for development of the technology, which we will actually go through later this month. But these are all partners pulled together for a very specific purpose.
Yeah, there's a question there on our risk register, which we'll answer separately afterwards. And then I think the final question is, what happens with Modern Water shares in the interim? Will it be suspended? And the answer to that is no.
No. This is a share-for-share transaction. At the time of the indicative, at the time of the actual Rule 2.7 documents that we put out, it specifically stated it is a one share for share of the other. So the share price fluctuation is irrelevant. When we actually negotiated this, we had negotiated over a period of from May right up until the end of August on this, and it was agreed that the value would not necessarily be based on the close of day pricing, but more on the volume weighted average price over a 90-day period. Because the volatility of both companies was so high, it was impossible, based on somebody deciding to buy or sell £10,000 worth of shares, the share price would go up by 10p or 10% or down by 15%. That was an impossibility. So that was negotiated and agreed over that period of time. No suspension. They should be actually trading pretty close to each other on the basis of that until we complete this transaction.
Okay, Paul, I think that covers off.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think you've pretty much covered everything off. Camillus, thank you very much for stepping in there on the questions. On that basis, I would just like to run through and say thank you to Ross, Jerry, Camillus, Finn. Thank you very much for addressing the questions today. Of course, the company will review all questions submitted by investors today and will publish those answered on the Investor Meet Company platform. Jerry, perhaps if I could just ask you just to wrap up, please, if you wouldn't mind, just a couple of closing comments before I redirect investors to feedback.
Yeah, again, the presentation or how we present the company, obviously you've got management and you've got the board here, and I do communicate on social media quite a lot. But behind us, behind the four of us here, are within Integument up to 40 people. There's another 14 people within Modern Water. There is a large group of partners that are responsible for accelerating all of the work that's involved here. So while it might look like there's just a front end of us or me or whatever, there are seriously expert geniuses behind pulling the strings. We work for them, make it easy for them to do whatever it is that they need to do. And we're grateful for the support that the shareholders have given us, and we look forward to presenting the efforts of what it is that they've actually achieved as we move forward, as we try and do our best to help open the economy.
Fantastic. Thank you all for taking the time to update investors today. Thank you to Ross, Jerry, Camillus, Finn. Thank you very much for updating investors. Could I ask investors not to close the session, as you'll be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback, which is obviously very important to the company. If you've accessed the meeting through our website, the feedback page will appear in front of you just a couple of seconds after the end of the webinar. If you've accessed from the link in the email, you'll just be asked to log in to complete that. So on behalf of Integument PLC and Investor Meet Company, thank you very much for attending today's presentation. That concludes the event. Good morning. Thank you very much, gentlemen.